Yes, it is true. The Black Ice Hockey Podcast is back in action. I'm your co-host, Blaine Adams. I'm right here as always with your co-host, Nick Jenkins. What's going on, man?
The USA is back on top again. I don't believe we have any Canadian listeners at this point, but just to rub that in, back-to-back world champions, back-to-back World War champions.
Yes, sir.
We are number one.
You really can't complain. I don't even understand how the USA got back to being dominant on the hockey world stage right now. And it's a shame because Canada, I mean, when you think of them, you think hockey, but not in U20 age. But again, when you leave your best players at home, Jenks, this is what happens. Now, the real question is, will that coach and GM ever find a job ever again?
Oh boy.
Or is it the scouting department?
So are we introing with this, or are we just diving right into it?
We gotta calm down a little bit.
I was like, we can talk about this for the next 45 minutes if you want.
Give the people a little bit of an intro. Since last week, what's been going on though? Anything new?
Not too much, man. Just diving into the new year. Looking forward to being Mr. Worldwide again for work and stuff. So enjoying a little bit of time off. We've got the McDavid retirement game coming up. You're going to come to town for that. We're going to have a good time.
I'll be back inside of Erie again.
Blackout Boehner and EPA all over again.
Retired.
He's retired, but we're still going to go back to the EIA and watch some hockey like the old days.
Right. And hopefully is there supposed to be a blizzard up there this weekend, or is it the snow calmed down a bit?
No, you're going to catch us at a good time. It's snowing like crap right now, and then it's going to stop just for you to come in and get back out.
The worst part about Erie in college is when you're 21, you can go to the bars, right? And Erie is a snow deposit. I think the world just saves its snow and then just dumps it right on Erie and Buffalo. That's it. So you're walking to the bars in a kind of decent outfit, but then you have a giant jacket that you have to strap to your waist, and it's just the worst. It's the worst look possible. So you're out there trying to freaking get in the mix, mucking and grinding deep into the corners. And then you just look like a disaster. Your shoes are covered in water. You're slipping, you're falling, there's salt everywhere. Yeah, it's just not a look when you're trying to make moves and waves when you're 21 up there. But, you can only
got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I guess. But over the past week, some craziness has happened in the hockey world. I think we kind of highlighted it right off the rip. And that's the World Juniors. USA taking the gold medal with Finland backing up, and then Czechoslovakia.
Yep.
No,
not Czech.
Slovakia is a different thing now. Czech Republic.
Czech. I don't know if
they
it is
dropped
Czech
the
Republic still there.
whole thing.
They're now just Czechia.
Sure. Okay, Czechia places third. Jenks, give me your recap of the World Juniors this year.
So, I guess we'll start with Canada, right? So and I think we touched on this a little bit last week as well, but I think all of the haters that were saying, what are the Hockey Canada management and coaching staff doing by picking this roster? I mean, there were a handful of guys who were leading scorers in the OHL who were left off this team for some reason. And this just adds fuel to the fire with them not medaling for a second year in a row, after obviously being seen as the premier country for hockey in the world, right? So a huge disappointment for Canada. Don't really know what's going to happen there. You have to expect they're gonna be firing some people and going to take another look at how they can change things up for next year so that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I just think Hockey Canada is the last 5 years have been an absolute roller coaster. So maybe it was more of their eyes not exactly on the ball as it should be. I think there's a lot of wandering eyes over there, anyways. In case anybody hasn't followed, like there's a ton of like lawsuits and cases going on up there. So
Yep.
so it's hard to like really you know, when a lot of things are going on, I know people that's on an excuse for, not putting out the best possible showing at a tournament. But still, like, it's always in the back of people's minds, like when you go anywhere, stuff like that. But I think when it comes to like personnel on a team, I look at the coach. I don't really look at the GM because they sometimes don't really know hockey. They're kind of the, hey, these guys are available. Hey, coach, who fits into our team? Like you have to like kind of help me here. So I I don't know how Canada itself takes this like whole breakdown. Like, are they that serious with like stuff like this? Like, I know in years past, USA Hockey, we were kind of like, like if we won, cool. If we didn't, oh wow. But in Hockey Canada, is it the thing to be like, we lost, full sail everybody? Like Browns lose, full sail everybody. I I don't know. I don't know. I've never been in that mindset like that. So is that what you're thinking of?
It's a tough call. I mean, to some degree, you have to feel bad for the players because you're going in. So, like, even before the tournament started,
Did you
social
see
media is
Gavin McKenna's interview after I think like the pool the round robin games?
no. I missed
He
that.
said
What did he say?
something like yeah, I know like most of our countries like not rooting for us, but our players have faith in our team and the people that are here. So like that just goes to show like even the media is starting to get to these guys. Like they're bagging these kids are what 18, 19,
Right.
under 20, and
Yeah.
like Gavin McKenna's under 18. So it's like you're putting so much hate on
Hmm.
teenagers. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And as a ref of like high school and lower level divisions, like these kids are like most of them are just trying to like exercise and have fun. Like
Yeah.
I I don't know, like and all that pressure on a tournament that kind of doesn't really mean anything. It means like scouting wise, but most of these kids are already signed or drafted or like they already know where they're going in the draft, right? So I don't know. It's tough for me.
It's it, I'm really encouraged that I like that you brought that up. I'm encouraged that McKenna is the one who said that because for as young as he is, to be aware like that and say we're not worried about it, that's a really good sign of a leader. He's obviously slated to go pretty high in the draft when his year comes around. I think he's 26 draft guy. A hell of a player already as he is. But those to his comments, they see it. They see the social media basically trashing the team before the tournament even starts.
Right.
So if you're a player on that team, you're like, they don't even think I should be here. They think there's five other guys who should be here. How am I supposed to feel? This is so much pressure. I am 17 years old, and the whole country is going to hate me when we lose this. Like, that is not a good way to start a tournament, feeling the pressure for before you even play your first game.
Yeah.
So that's a tough spot to be in as a player. But you got to wonder too, as a managing, what as a management team, we'll say in general. I'll include the coach and all of that too.
Okay.
Your job when assembling this team is to pick the right players. This is think of like the 1980 Miracle team, right?
Right.
It says I'm not looking for the best ones, I'm looking for the right ones, and it seems like they got a little too cute here maybe and left off some stud names, and um, they didn't pull it off. They didn't even medal. Now all the fans have something that they feel sort of right by saying that they don't believe in this team. They don't think
Yeah.
that they made the right decision. So it's a really tough spot. I do think we're going to see some change in the Hockey Canada under 20 staff next year, and we'll see. I mean, um, maybe they go back to just pulling all the studs, and they stop going based on like individual single season performance or whatever they pick the team on this year.
Right. Yeah, I mean, again, scouting is probably the hardest thing to do in hockey since there's so many leagues and so many like different ways to look at a single player. Like you said, it's not just
Mm-hmm.
about like, oh, he put in 100 goals, but he was playing, the Little Sister Nuns League. So like, you can't really pick him or whoever based off of just that. So you have to look kind of more
Mm-hmm.
deeper into it. And, I also think there's a 17-year-old goaltender on their team too. So like, congrats to him. I know that's definitely something that is big in his mind. And hopefully that kind of pushes him and drives that team forward, especially with McKenna. Like he'll be back next year. Like maybe add fuel into the fire for Canada. Maybe not
Yep.
against USA, but is what it is.
Yep.
But let's get to the main course of the World Juniors. USA taking home gold in kind of a stylish fashion. OT game winner, 4-3 against Finland. I I think the talk of the town was Leonard and his
Mm-hmm.
ability to just be kind of a little rascal out there, a little rat. People wanted him already on the Caps, saying, "Oh, he's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be great with Tom Wilson and Ovi, just deep in the minds of people." But I want to hear your thoughts around that.
Yeah, I Leonard. So he obviously won the most outstanding player of the whole tournament, and he was noticeable every time he was on the ice. And he's one of those guys who doesn't have to contribute on the score sheet to be a factor. He's in there. He's playing physical. He's driving the other team nuts, and he's going to contribute on the score sheet as well. Not trying to take that away from him at all. Just saying he brings a lot of other value to the team.
Right.
And it seems to be a good leader too, right? He led the team. He wore the C. Um, so I think Washington's got themselves a gem there, and
Right.
maybe when the college season wraps up, he finds himself in the NHL even this year. He seems to be ready to take that jump. So yeah, this U.S. team in general. I mean, I think part of the U.S.'s strength is if you look up and down their roster. So let's take all the other countries out and just compare it to Canada, for example. Canada's team is built of players mostly from the CHL.
Right.
So you're talking a lot of like 17, 19-year olds. The US team sort of has a little bit of an advantage. It almost feels like an advantage. I don't know if it is for sure, but it feels like it to say that a lot of this team is playing college hockey.
Right.
So they're playing a more physical,
Men.
bigger guys, right? Guys that are older than them. Leonard's 20, and some of these other guys, Gabe Perreault, he's in his second year, and
And look at the BC
Hudson,
line. Yeah.
Higgins. Yeah, there's a lot of college guys on this team who are in their first or second year in college and are playing against guys 3, 4 years older than them. So that takes you up a whole nother level. So in this under 20 tournament, they sort of have that as a distinct advantage, and you wonder how that's going to change moving forward with the CHL and college agreement.
Right.
Because now you're going to see CHL players when they run out of eligibility there going off to college and playing for Michigan and BU and BC and all these stud programs.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know how that changes in the future, but it certainly has been something that has been highlighted for the U.S. the last 2 years here, and seems to ring true again this year as their leadership group and they're big contributors. And even the guy who scored on his first shot of the tournament to win gold, Stiga, he's a college guy as well. So I think that's a big difference maker for the U.S. program. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I go to chemistry, right? Like, because most
Yeah,
of these NCAA guys, like, they're either on the same USHL team or they grew up playing against each other, like, through AAA hockey. And, you
yeah,
do so much of the same things, right? You run into the same good players. And usually, if you're that good, you go to these mid-am tournaments, and that's just our district to say like, or the USA Hockey like tournaments to get in the what is it, the USDTP,
Yep.
NDJHL, whatever they call it. So, so,
Take like 5 of
yeah.
those 17 letters and
So
you'll
like
find it.
you run into the same guys and you start to build bonds naturally. Whereas in the CHL, it's kind of you're so far um, across the country that I don't think you really have that sort of same situation. And then you get drafted at 15,
Mm,
16, and you don't really see a lot of those players. So I think the USA has just a different development strategy, and it gets you to see these players faster. Like,
yep.
look at the BC line. It's everybody, it's literally a line that they took from BC and put in the USA program.
Yep.
And things like that I love to see. And like most of these guys, I'm sure it's not their first time seeing each other either. So it's kind of like instant chemistry or instant like locker room vibes. I think the hardest part about building a locker room full of superstars is having everybody gel. And I like your point about Leonard. Like, probably not their best player, but certainly has like the fire behind him, great leadership on the ice, not afraid to take a hit to make a play, not afraid to get in the mix. Like, is trash talking. I don't love trash talking, but in the right spots on the ice and in the game, it's so effective. Like after goals, like a little like that's right, like right in front of their bench, like it kind of wears on you a little bit, and you get frustrated and you start taking dumb penalties. So
Yep.
like stuff like that, I'd love to see out of a captain, and I think they picked the right man for the job. And picking the right man for the job, David Carle, 2 years in a row, doing pretty much the insanity. NCAA champion, back to back years, and now USA Hockey champion in back to back years in U20. This guy, he could practically pick a job anywhere. Anywhere he wants, he can go. And I don't know if he's like, hey, I'm just going to have DU and USA Hockey pay my gajillion-dollar salary. I'm good right here. This is my wheelhouse. It's we see a lot in football where coaches have a good year and then all of a sudden they jump up. Do you think we see this with David Carle jumping up to the the NHL level soon?
I think exactly what you just said is the ball's really in his court. He's going to have opportunity. If he wants to jump to the NHL, there's probably going to be a handful of teams in the offseason
Right.
calling him saying, well, here's a blank check. You come coach here for whatever you want, and it's your bench." But I think the question is he's been at Denver for so long and he's having a lot of success there. Is he comfortable just staying there like
Right.
this? Because he, other than taking the Colorado Avalanche job, which doesn't seem to be happening because Bednar is doing a good job there. Um, he's going to have to uproot his family, and he's been in Denver for a long time. So I think it just becomes is taking an NHL job something that is interesting to him? Is that the way he wants to take his career, or does he just want to ride it out with Denver and keep bringing home national championships? And
Right.
you have to imagine the U.S. World Junior program is going to keep asking him to come back at this rate. They're going to say it's your bench as long as you want it.
Yeah.
You're a back-to-back champion, by all means, have at it.
Yeah, seriously. And I always think like is coaching like is his style different from like an NHL caliber style, right? Like it's easy to not easy, but it's different from telling a U20 kid or a
Yeah,
college kid what to do versus some you're telling a $30 million man what to do. Like, buddy, like I can go make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich right now if I really wanted to. Like I don't have to do this. Like I already been paid. So yeah, I think with the whole transition into the NIL things, like maybe it's an easier transition now for some of these coaches to go back and forth. For me, I think I would stay there, ride it out. Like I don't know. You look at people on like some of these programs like Wisconsin or BC or BU that don't want to go to the next level and just stay there for 30, 40 years. And that's all they do. And they're great at it, developing these players. And I'm sure they kind of get maybe a little kickback from things every once in a while because hey,
Mhm.
you sent 9 million people to the NHL. Here's $1. Like, go have a free Big Mac on us. So it's like,
Uh,
like
a dollar won't even get you the pickles on a Big Mac anymore. Are you kidding me?
true. But they did bring back that um, the Big Mac, the chicken Big Mac, I think,
Yeah, and the McRib is back. This is
and the
not a
McRib.
free ad, by the way,
Right,
for
yeah.
McDonald's, but
Unless
the
unless
McRib
unless
is
they want
back.
to pay us, hey, McDonald's shouts out. We're always looking. Um, but I think the last point about the World Juniors, and I like some of these tournaments where they try new things. Especially, we look at the IHF and over in the Europe, they try like new rules and new penalty systems and things like that. And at the World Juniors, they actually added a tracking chip inside the puck. So, what they described in the video is they took out like a couple ounce section in the puck, put the chip in, and refilled it with the rubberized puck material, and it's exactly the same weight. Now,
Mhm.
we've been saying this for, I don't know, like 4 years now with the movement of gambling and how gambling is going and how statistics and analysis are going. This is going to come whether people like it or not. You could hate it, you could love it. Pros are just gonna have to get used to it. Maybe it doesn't sit right in the middle. Maybe one side of the puck is an eighth of an ounce heavier. Like an average Joe wouldn't know, but maybe a professional would be like, well, that's a knuckle puck all of a sudden. So
Mhm.
I think stuff like this where you can tell who actually hits the puck into the net, or you could tell how fast it comes off the stick, or how where he shot it on his stick. Was it the heel? Was it the toe? Did it hit off somebody's hand and go in? Like you're gonna be able to tell with this sort of tracking system, and they kind of walk through that in the video. But what are your thoughts on where the game's going with this stuff?
I mean, I think you kind of said it. This was coming, whether people wanted it or not.
Yeah,
I've always been interested in the data and everything that side of the game to really break down the analytics and say, how do we track hardest shot? How do we track where the puck's moving? Where are the hot zones of the ice? We have access to so much information, even information that we don't realize now, just by putting a little chip inside these pucks. And
right.
I I really don't think they're trying to keep the weight exactly the same. I don't think the players are going to notice a difference if it's 2 or 3 ounces
They can
difference,
get so
whatever.
detailed with it too, with like 3D printing and things like that now. So I doubt it's even noticeable.
Yeah, it's probably going to be exactly the same. I mean, think if you're a pro, maybe you do notice, but think about how many
You got
times
to be,
growing up you've got a bag of pucks, right? And how many of those pucks have like giant chunks out of them,
yeah,
like the
yeah,
dog took a bite out of the puck or something. Like
right,
you got to play with it. You just deal with it.
right.
So I think this is part of it. I think it's all for the betterment of the game. I think we're going to probably get to a point where maybe let's say they put some sort of sensors under the ice in the net. So now you've got a sensor in the
Right.
puck, and
Yeah.
then you've got sensors on the goal line, and you can say, did it cross or not? Now we can tell for sure. We've got exact pinpoint technology to say the puck was exactly at this spot on the ice.
Right.
So I think there's more to come with this too, but this is the way of the future, and I think the data is only going to help teams in a lot of ways, and I think we're only seeing the beginning of this. So
Yeah.
I think it's exciting.
Yeah. I always think about like tennis or even like European soccer does this too. Like
Hmm.
you brought up the good point about like where the puck is on the line, like either blue
Hmm.
line or red line, or was it
Right.
icing or was it a goal? Tennis, tennis has like did the ball touch the line? Like that ball's moving at what, 200, 300 miles an hour, whatever it is. And they can like, do the whole 3D model thing and like make it like suspenseful. Why hasn't the NHL done that? Or like why doesn't the NFL do it? Like make it suspenseful. Yes, it's a show, it's entertainment. I get it.
Yes.
Some old heads might not like it. But the way things are going, I think, bring a little bit of excitement back in the game. Like have some fun instead of it just being X, Y, Z. I mean, look at golf. Golf's changing. Like who would have thought about that like 10 years ago? Nobody. So, I think just the way the world is going now, I think we're headed in a crazy direction for sports in general. So it's going to be fun to see what comes in the next year or two, and it's going to be moving fast. Um, Another major topic, I think a lot of people in the hockey world are talking about this past week is the Winter Classic, Jenks. I know we kind of foresaw this coming as fortune tellers and Nostradamuses, um, but just Chicago versus Blues. Like, I get Chicago pre 2015. Put them in. Yeah, they're always in. And I get the Blues, maybe the one year they won the Stanley Cup. But even that year, like, nobody saw that coming. Really a garbage team. Shouldn't have won, but hey. Um, I just, when you're the NHL, I don't know what you were expecting when you put 12 games on the same day as the Winter Classic. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next day, you have one game. Like, I get scheduling nightmares for cities, but you have to know. You have to look at these cities and say, hey, if you don't have this day open, we can't go there, no matter what. That's your hard line. But when you try to get Connor Bedard's marketing out there, and then you put him against the Blues, and arguably Chicago's worst season with them, what are we doing?
I'm at a loss for words too. So first of all, it took me all the way up until the day of the Winter Classic to realize that the Winter
It's
Classic
it's
was
been like
not
that for the
on the
last like
first.
4 years, dude. Like I don't know. It does that.
I don't get it. I don't get it one bit. I'm so used to like it's got to be the premier event first of all. The ratings were down for a couple of reasons. One being the competition wasn't very good. Um, Two being the scheduling. I mean, if you make that a 1 p.m. game on New Year's Day, people are going to watch. And you've
Right.
got to spread out the schedule to allow people to watch it. New Year's Eve with 12 other games on, especially if you're not a Blues or Blackhawks fan,
Right.
now you've created competition within your own sport. You've got other competition with college football, which is still on because there are New Year's games. They have the New Year's Six Bowls that are
In
played
the
on New
first
Year's Eve.
year of the bracket system,
Yes, you didn't do yourself any favors, NHL, by scheduling it this way. And I get it. The Blues and Blackhawks, they've got a rivalry. It's exciting to get Bedard
do they?
in the spotlight. It goes back before you were even born.
Yeah, so like it's nothing. So like
It
it needs to be alive, right? Like Pittsburgh Flyers, like everybody knows that. Watch any documentaries about like that whole thing. Even Crosby, like when he plays, like he hates them. So it's like
yeah.
I don't Chicago, it's like all young kids. So like
Hmm.
they don't have anybody that like was there for those rivalries. So it's like hard to like bring that in. I don't know. Like that's how I look at it. Like there's nothing between those two teams now that makes it a rivalry. Maybe the
Yep.
captain's fighting. I don't know. But
Especially with the state of those teams, right? Like the same. It's not like both teams are good right now. The Blues are average at best, and the Blackhawks are one of the worst teams in the NHL currently, if
right.
not in last place. I don't know the standings on this date exactly, but they're one of the worst teams in the NHL. So yeah, if they were both good, sure, I get it, no problem. I
But that's
I,
a
I don't know what else
stretch.
to say. This year was just a big mess, just a big
Yeah,
mess.
and I get like scheduling these events, like you're scheduling out like 4 years, like three
Yep.
years, like trying to predict. Um, and it's tough to like actually hammer down these things, but
Hmm.
um, I don't know. I think we talked about it a little bit before. It might not be about the game anymore. It's just about like the whole vibe and the whole kind of community aspect of like that weekend or that those couple days.
Yep.
Whenever that day lands on. And, we saw that with a couple of the college teams were out there: Notre Dame, Ohio State, Michigan, and who was the other team that played Notre Dame?
Seriously.
I couldn't tell you. I just remember those three.
Come
Um,
on, bud. Penn State. Let's
Penn
go.
State, yeah, yeah. Gosh, kind of reminds me of beating you guys all the time. So
You're
that's all I
you
could think of.
you're officially out on the next state college trip now. You've been uninvited.
That was great. I actually couldn't remember who they were playing. I'm like, some team in white, but like, I was gonna say white and baby blue. I'm like, what colors did I actually see? Yeah, but I think the one hot topic, lukewarm topic from those college games is Michigan's jerseys, Jay. If I had to rank jerseys in my lifetime that were the absolute worst to ever see and ever like lay my eyes on, Michigan's Winter Classic Wrigley Field jerseys, the worst ever. I mean, picture this: you make a design, it goes through your manager. Your manager's like, "Oh yeah, send that up." Your manager sends it to his boss. He's like, "This, that's gonna produce sales." And it goes to like the guy that prints these jerseys. And he's like, yeah, yeah, this one's gonna hit. And oh, I, what were you thinking, Jenks?
That is, you nailed it. That the best part is that somebody designed that and said, "Oh yeah, this is it." And then other people that went up the flagpole and other people
Right.
said, "Oh yeah, you nailed it."
Like,
These
you
things,
killed it.
if you haven't looked these up yet, you know, discretion advised in looking at these because you may vomit on sight. They are piss yellow. They have this tiny little M on the upper chest. There's nothing else to the jersey.
Right.
They're trying too hard to make it look like a baseball uniform.
Well, I didn't even know until I saw the caption what they were
Yeah,
trying to copy. Like it looked like
yeah,
a practice jersey. Like that's how like practice jerseys are in high school. Like you have your logo like top left or right or wherever it is, and then your number on the back.
yep.
That's what they were. And
They were so plain. You could have made it look like a baseball jersey. I get what you're trying to do, okay? I
right,
get what you're trying to do. You
but
could
it
have
has
made it look
no
like a baseball
connection to
jersey.
Michigan.
Right.
Just
Yes.
just make a Mich. What's in Michigan? Like what baseball? Detroit Lions. Make it one of those. Make it
You
orange and
could have
black.
done
You could
you
do
could have done so much
anything.
more. So much more. They were so boring and so plain, and that yellow is just highlighter yellow. It's disgusting.
I
Yeah,
mean, I understand that you just don't like Michigan. I like
Michigan.
Michigan, but it's just
That's a
like
shame.
it's,
You
it's
should pick a different team because those jerseys were the worst of all time.
those jerseys were bad, and I'm sure everybody on Michigan probably dislikes them, but had to like them in public. I I don't know. I mean, I would like somebody on the team to actually have a candid conversation about it. Um, but we'll never have that happen. But just one of the highlights over the past week that we wanted to touch on, because the Winter Classic in general is just uh, it's kind of a passerby event now, and not so much a lucrative opportunity for the NHL. But speaking of lucrative and the NHL, The Rangers. I think we might have cursed a lot of people on the Rangers. We talked about Trouba, he gets traded. We talked about Igor signing his big deal. He started to suck. Talk about Kreider. Rumors started swirling. Now, we talked about Igor having to switch something up. Maybe they bench him. They put him on LTIR, Jenks. I I mean, is this one way to say he's bad? Like, hey Igor, like break your toe or something. Like I don't know. Like say your groin's gone.
This season, Igor has been up and down. He got his deal, whatever. This season for the Rangers could not get any worse. Not only did they have a miserable start to the year, they have been unable to climb out of it, and now they're without their $11 billion goaltender because he's on LTIR. There is no coming back from this. If you're a Rangers fan, I'm sorry, but you're already looking ahead to next year. This season is a loss at this point. I just I don't know what else to say to the Rangers. They are in a bad spot, and there's no climbing out of this hole.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal to look at if you're a Rangers fan, but as a Penguins fan, I love this. Nothing more than just to see the Rangers downfall, and that's what happens when you sign a $12 million man in Panarin, and then sign another $12 million man in Igor. You can't have this much money tied up into people. Now I get taxes in New York and I get taxes in Toronto. You have to like justify a little more payment, but at some point it's got to give. At some point we have to look at it and say, hey, maybe let's try to win a cup this year. That means everybody's gonna have to sacrifice some McDonald's. We're doing Cokes cost $1. No more free Cokes in the locker room. I don't know. Maybe Uncrustables, you have to pay 50 cents for one. I don't know. I think something's got
So
to change.
as we sit right now, I just looked it up because I was curious. The Rangers are in 14th place in the Eastern Conference. They are how many points out of a playoff spot right now?
A
So
lot.
they're currently 5 points out of a playoff spot. But they have to. Here's how much of a problem this is. 5 points doesn't sound like a lot, right? Remember, they're without Igor all of a sudden, so
Yeah.
that's gonna hurt them. They have to leapfrog one, two, three, four, five, 6 teams. There are 6 teams that have between between the last wild card spot and the Rangers. So not only do you have to go on a heater without your number one goaltender, you need 6 other teams to
Right.
start losing games. It ain't happening. Sorry, your season's over.
Yeah.
Try again next year.
Like everybody needs to have their best season right now. But
You've got half your season to go. They are like exactly halfway through the season, and you need to score 100 points per player for the rest of the season.
I think if anything's possible, I mean, you have to look at the Edmonton Oilers. Like now we have to go. We have to go now, and it's possible, but it's a hard road. I mean, look at Connor by the end. He's looking like a homeless man. He's like, I aged 9 years now. God, so it's it's one of those things where you have to look at it and say, hey, we're ready to rock. We're ready to go. And did you catch any of the quarter century teams that the NHL and teams do like kind of like every couple years where they announce like the all-time quarter century team or all-time century team, and pick
Yeah.
pick the best players from
Mhm.
each team and such. And there's two I wanted to highlight. Krill Kiprasov. You remember that guy?
Yeah, I think so. Sounds familiar.
Up in Minnesota, he made the first team for the Minnesota Wild, which is kind of crazy to think about because he joined only a couple seasons ago, and to make that big of a dent in Minnesota is kind of crazy. And then the other thing I look at is Anaheim. Now I was interested in those because I'm like, you have so many old guys that made this team relevant. Solani,
Yeah.
Pronger, the other bald guy, Getzloff,
There
and
you go.
Niedermeyer and Gibson and that. And then I'm like, wasn't there a guy that had like a heater of a season and then got paid and pretty much fell off the earth? And then I'm like, yes, Silverson or Silversberg or Jakob Silver. And there's an F in there.
Yeah, Silverberg.
Berg.
Yeah, I know who
For
you're talking about.
one
Yeah.
season had a heater. And I think it was, I'm looking here, 2013-14. Like that, so they didn't pick any other Silverberg but that year. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, like just being good for 1 year and being selected for your second all-time quarter century team, it's got to be great. Like you don't even have Zegras on there. You don't even have like I think Perry might be on there. I didn't look that deep
He
into it.
better be on there. He
But
won them a Stanley Cup. He better be on. If you're telling
wait,
me that
wait,
Jakob
let
Silverberg
me
is
look.
on there and Corey Perry is not, that list needs burned. That's bad.
Quarter century team. All right, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, Corey Perry is on the forward
Okay,
line, and
good.
then John Sebastian Giguere. I think I nailed that. I tried to add my little French uh, inflections on everything. Cam Fowler, that guy made it on the first team. Uh, Bobby Ryan, that's who I was forgetting. I'm like, who else was on that team? But but yeah, I mean, Zegras isn't there. That might be an issue. Um, I just it sucks when you look at these teams and you don't see any young guys like that. That's what kind of hurts. Or people that are still kind of on the team. Like, hey, we
Mhm.
need to find our guy and we need to find him fast. Like, I bet Jack Hughes made quarter century team for New Jersey. I'm willing to
Yeah,
bet on that.
well, he better. He's their best player right now, and he's pretty young still, so I
Yeah.
can see that.
Yeah, but I kind of like these things. It kind of celebrates past and present players and kind of gives the head nod, kind of like the McDavid jersey retirement in Erie. It kind of, yes, he's still playing. Is it early? Kinda. But it just kind of gives a head nod, be like, hey, you put our little area on the map. Like nobody
Yep.
knew the Erie Otters before you came,
Hmm.
and now everybody buys a McDavid jersey like every year. Just to have that thing. Now, did he win a trophy for the Erie Otters? No, but he set up the team to win it the next year. Sure
Right.
did.
Yep.
So, yeah, hats off to everybody that made the quarter century teams around the league. I think it's something special, and I think we're kind of witnessing special things on and off the ice, and Ovi just keeps moving. I don't know if I've seen Ovi move this fast in a long time. Um, ever since he won the cup, I think I thought he was done. I'm like, oh, once he wins the cup, the guy's gonna retire because he's slow as shit, and he only has one move, and it's not even a move. It's I stand here, I get puck, I score. That's it. But the goals that he's scoring this year has me in shock. Like his last goal, diving on the ice
Yeah.
to get it underneath the pad of the goaltender. I mean, Jenks, we're under at I think 30 goals to break the record.
We are
That's
at
doable.
22 goals. As we sit here right now, we are at 22 goals, and he's still got half the season to do it. It
Right.
is doable. Not only is he going to do it, it's doable this season,
Yeah.
right? Like, it's possible.
It's it's crazy to watch, and we have to remember the guy broke his leg.
Like 6 weeks ago, the guy broke his leg, and he's back in scoring again.
The Russian gas must be in buckets in his room. Just He must like scoop it up with like a funnel. They must like put it into his lungs or whatever. Oh god, that's so crazy. And one other clip that came out this past weekend in the KHL. I guess this guy was messaging some broads on the bench. Maybe the couple rows up, like, hey, check out that blonde. I'm gonna get her number. Just sends her an Instagram message. Phone flies out during play. I don't know how you recover from that. And it's funny. I watched his interview after, and he's like, I put it up here during the break of the period, and it must have just fell into my elbow pad as I was putting it on. I get adrenaline. I get all that. But how do you not notice, what is that in my elbow pad? Like, that's gotta be embarrassing for a hard minute.
Wacky clips, one of the wackiest clips of all time. Like something I never thought I would see. I remember. Do you remember? There was a time where Zach would skate in warm-ups with his phone in his pants and his headphones in. I was that came up when I saw that. I was like, I was waiting for Zach's phone to fall out onto the ice and work. He would put headphones in and stick his phone in his pants for warm-ups.
Or like Trey on the bench would bring his phone out, and like when he wasn't playing, he'd hide it in his goalie glove.
Yeah,
Stuff like that. I'm like, dude, you guys are crazy. Like, I could never bring, like, I don't even wear my Apple Watch when I'm out there reffing, because like I'm afraid of like a puck coming, or like somebody hits it with a stick and it flies off and somebody slices it up, and I don't know, man. It's got to be top 10 clips of just stupid things that happen while playing hockey. I mean, might even beat some streaker moments. Like in 2025, 2025 nailed it. It's got to be something stupid, but
yeah.
Let's go over to the college hockey news, Jenks. Any exciting things happening in the world of college?
So we were on holiday break, and obviously all the college players that were invited to the World Juniors were spending their time doing that. So we really already hammered through all the World Junior talk. I think at the midpoint here, I'll just highlight a couple of things. Atlantic Hockey, Sacred Heart is leading that conference right now. They're 10. Yeah, their overall record is 11-8, but their in conference record is 12-6. Yeah, 12. Okay. There's their conference record, 12-6. So don't know what's going on there, but they're having a good year at Sacred Heart. Good for them. Michigan State is still the team to beat. They are the number one team in the country, 17-2-1 at the midpoint here. Really going to pick up their conference play for like the Big Ten and the Eastern League, Hockey East, the NCHC. Those guys really pick up conference play in the second half of the year here. So going to face some more stiff competition, and we'll see how things shake out. But it's that's the big surprise for me so far is Sacred Heart this year, and Michigan State is doing Michigan State things, and they look like they're the favorites to win it at the midpoint. So we'll see when the teams get back into action. I'm sure there's going to be some things to talk about, but pretty quiet week for college hockey as the kids are just heading back to school now for their spring semester.
Yeah, playing actual real games again instead of like scrimmages or like tune-up games or things like that. So excited to see where college hockey goes coming into the home stretch of the league and such. But moving on to the favorite section of the podcast, I was 1-0 last week. Per usual, Jenks hard 0-0 or 0-1. So
well, you didn't leave me with much choice. So
well, I mean, you knew they were gonna lose. The Blackhawks were not good at all.
How boring would it have been if we both picked the obvious choice, though? Come on. I'm trying to make it.
Sometimes the obvious is just the way to go. It's kind of picking the right or left road. You always pick the right because everybody's right-handed in the world.
You know what?
Just how it is.
I'll let you have this one.
Being left-handed is crazy. Like, you're a lefty.
I'll let you have this one.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Don't be a left-handed. That's a mistake. Except shooting. Shoot left in hockey. That's the better
shoot
players.
Right. Shoot right. That's just the only right way to go. Strong hand on bottom. That's it. That's how they should teach you.
Yeah.
All right. Saturday, January 11th. There's a full slate of games. Jenks, Give me your writing on the wall pick.
So if you followed me for the Winter Classic pick, you're an idiot and you deserve it because I wasn't putting money on that. It was a total off the wall pick. And
As they all are.
so if you did that, we're going to make your money back this week because this is an easy cash prize pick. Okay. We are going to. Where are they playing at? I picked the game and I failed to look at where they're playing. Okay. They're playing in Vegas. Okay.
All right.
We have talked time and time again about how bad the Rangers are this season. Okay. Igor is down for the count. Johnny Quick has been okay. I'll give him credit. He's been pretty good.
Glass Bones Jones.
Somebody please name me who their backup is now because you can't do it. You don't know who it is. Doesn't matter.
Couldn't tell you.
Doesn't matter. Couldn't tell you. Zibanejad sucks this year. Kreider's on IR. Igor's out. Truba's shipped off to the gulag. Doesn't matter. Okay? They're coming off the break here. They're getting a little tune-up in. They're going out to Vegas. Vegas is hot, okay? These guys can't be touched. I don't care. I don't care who it is. Stone, Eichel, Shea Theodore, Barbashev.
You're gonna do it, aren't you?
They're gonna pot 6 goals. They're gonna pot 6 goals on. Okay.
Okay.
You think you know what I'm doing here?
You're setting it up perfectly for everybody.
Give me Vegas, baby. You thought I was gonna pick the Rangers? What are you, nuts?
I totally did. Oh,
Give me the Vegas Golden Knights at home against the basement-dwelling New York Rangers. They are a low-level AHL team at best right now, okay? Easy money, cash it out, folks. Responsibly,
all right. The New Age Sabres, some would say.
The New Age Sabres. Same state. Imagine that.
They are. They are in the same state.
Don't think too hard now. Don't strain yourself here.
Might pop a blood vessel in my head. But I'm picking a game that kind of matters. You know, both teams need to start moving in the rankings. Now it's the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Ottawa Senators in town. I'm going to the game. I just need to see Crosby score 19 goals here. I need to see him pick up the pace in the goal department. I know he's a playmaker. I know he's probably going to hit 100 points again this season. He's on pace for it. But I just need to see the get up and go attitude from the Penguins on Saturday for me to be like, all right, here we go. Here we ride. Take us to the promised land. Once again, Crosby. Now, the Ottawa Senators did lose Brady Tkachuk. He got pulled off the ice this past weekend on practice. Now, I was kind of disappointed because I was looking forward to seeing him play, seeing the rat son play. But I just can't pick the Ottawa Senators. Your Pittsburgh Penguins are taking this by 2 or more. Put that on the docket. 2 or more. Book that responsibly, of course.
You can find that under the alternate line bet, folks.
Yeah.
For you non-degens out there.
You can slide the little bar left and right. Or just go to your local bookie and be like, put 2 down on him. Give me a dime. Give me a dime on that. Any last words for the people, Jenks?
Sign me off. I got to go put in some overtime in my real work so I can make off the money that I lost betting this week.
All right. I'm your co-host, Blaine Abs. I'm right here, as always, with your co-host, Nick Jenks Jenkins. And we're out of here.